Pat.
We're on episode 61.
61.
61.
Hell yeah. I think we still need to throw in the extra episodes.
So we can get to 69 on 420.
Yeah. Precisely.
If you want, I can say we're live with 60.5. We should do the math real quick. How many extra episodes do we need?
3.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the math.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily need to start them now then, but we should do the extra episodes for sure.
Yeah, we can do
I think so too.
Do like a Wednesday every second week or something.
Yeah. We could do that.
Oh, you mean, sorry. I thought for some reason I was thinking that we needed to slow the countdown, but then
no.
speed it up. Extra episodes might be harder. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, even if we can't get everybody, we could just have a week where we have 2 people on a podcast. We'll call it an official podcast.
I mean, we've done that for official podcasts before, so
yeah,
it wouldn't be anything new.
And just gather 2 people together.
Yep.
The other option is we take almost a year off after episode 68.
That's valid. Or we go back and we renumber everything, including the
spoiler casts.
spoiler casts.
I think if we add the spoiler casts,
How many spoiler casts happened? I haven't been on any of them.
And the movie one, because we had Spider-Man.
Yep. Kingdom Hearts. They did Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, they did Kingdom Hearts. We did the Black Panther thing, which was the movie one. Is that 3?
Yeah.
Was there any more?
Well, there was more that we've done. We did the comic one. We did the Wrestle Kingdom one.
Oh, well, Wrestle Kingdom was part of the regular podcast.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah. That is in the count.
Yep. Give me a second. I'm going to go to fix.space for anyone who happens to be watching because we are live and look at our count.
Oh, my God. They're going to do it again. Well, maybe not. Actually, it's less likely they'll do it again. Michigan just hit a 3, so they're at 66 points. So if they can hit one more 3, then they'll score at 69 again. Today, they're up by 32 points, and there's 8 minutes left in the game.
Not to sound like a complete idiot, what sport are we talking about?
Basketball. This is the 1 month out of the entire year that I care a whole lot about basketball. Before this month, basketball is my favorite sport.
That's really funny. What sport is this?
The conference tournaments. This is the Big Ten championship tournament now.
Right. This is the March Madness.
They did it. They hit another 3.
All right. 69.
69 points.
Perfect.
Screenshot that.
These goals. That's what we're trying to hit.
That's what
when you don't actually know that much about basketball because you only watch it once per year. You have to take pleasure in the little things.
Yep. I have been to 2 live basketball games. I would say neither of them moved me.
I have been to college basketball games that I really enjoyed. The one professional basketball game that I went to was really boring.
Yep.
But it was I saw the Cavs and the Celtics play several years ago when they were both bad. And it was after it was clear neither of them was going to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So they had no reason to play competitive basketball at all. So they they barely played a game. It's amazing to me that people even went to it. I went as part of a class thing, but apparently that's pretty typical. I don't really watch much professional basketball. That's pretty typical of bad teams after they know they won't make the playoffs so that no one gets hurt. They just play not seriously. And I can't imagine having spent money on it.
Yeah, that sounds ultra lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just really relieved that it was a sport, honestly. I was like, oh, this sounds like sports. Points. Normally you want to score.
Tomorrow, the worst thing has to happen. Michigan has to play Michigan State in the final of the tournament, which is Michigan's second biggest rival. And it's not so bad, except that Michigan State is higher seeded than Michigan. So in theory, Michigan is the underdog. And like, if we lose to Michigan State, we'll still go to the NCAA tournament, but I have to listen to Michigan State fans talk about it incessantly for the next 10 years. Because Michigan has won 2 Big Ten championships in a row the last 2 years. So if Michigan State unseats them, it's going to be like, oh, we slayed the dragon.
Sports.
I enjoy all the rivalry stuff in the lead up to big games. Like, I enjoy participating in the jeering, and I enjoy like getting really emotionally invested in the rivalry game. I kind of wish that on both sides of the coin, we could just like, when the game finishes, go, that was a great game. Your team played well. Looking forward to next year. But that's not how, like, the rivalry shit doesn't end. Like, it's terrible. Michigan and Ohio State rivalry is like, after the game, there was a year where I had Ohio State fans text me every day to remind me that Ohio State won. And they also showed up at where I work a few times.
Wow.
And like came in and declared to the room that I was a Michigan fan and that Ohio State won the football game the year before. It's obnoxious. It's stupid. And
sounds like a real adult thing to do.
Seriously, like, it's very fun. I think it's fun to participate in the trash talking in the lead up, but like, let it go. The game, after you play the game, be happy for your team and just let it go.
Speaking of games.
Yeah, we should talk about those.
And let it go. Let's talk about Kingdom Hearts for an hour.
I'm starting that this weekend. But,
so I've been playing Overwatch with Cheska, and every time May has an ult, we both start singing Let It Go.
It's very cute.
Anyways.
Yeah, I guess we're ready to start, right?
Sure.
So hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 61 of Gaming Fix. I'm your host this week, Pat. Joining me is Erica Hernandez.
That's me. Hello.
And Alex Galinas.
Hello.
We're excited to talk about video games this week.
Are we?
I've played a lot of them. I don't know.
Are you not excited?
I didn't sleep very much last night.
Oh no, I actually didn't either.
Do you ever sleep though, Alex? Because I feel like we have in our group chat, you answer at like all hours. Does not matter what time it is. Like, you're just there.
Maybe it's because Alex and I are on the same time zone, but I feel like generally I see we respond to messages at fairly similar times.
Yeah, but I'm also there at like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
That's true.
You know what? Let me go. I'm gonna go check right now.
Yep. I mean, there has been moments where I've chatted with you when it was 6 in your morning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which is 3 in your morning, right? Like.
Yeah, but no. Recently, I've been sleeping okay, but I've been waking up because there's this owl that's been like set up nest kind of near my window. So like at 5 a.m, he's just hooting his head off. It's great, but
that's good though. I'm into that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining. I think it's great, but
okay. So this morning at 5:56 a.m. my time,
yep.
which is what 2:56 your time.
Yep. I sent you a Garfield comic.
You sent me a Garfield comic.
But that's also owl time.
And then the day before that, you were also up at 4 a.m. my time.
Dang, I'm getting narked.
Like, dude, you gotta sleep.
So Gaming Fix, episode 61.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We're talking about the video games and sleeping habits.
Hey.
Hi.
I like video games and played a lot of them. But I'm interested in hearing how video games have helped or hindered your sleeping habits, Alex.
Oh man, I think they've helped in a lot of ways, because what I've ended up doing in the past is like staying up way too late. Like when you're a teenager, you stay up way too late playing a video game, like kind of like reading a good book, right?
Yeah, but definitely don't do that anymore.
No, me neither. But I do still play like really logical puzzle games to kind of tire the brain out a little bit. So like Tents and Trees has been really good for that. The Sudoku games have been good for that. Like Pixel Puzzle Collection, the Konami Picross has been good for that. So I feel like that's been a good way to, like, as soon as I can no longer focus, then I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a good time to sleep now. So I don't know. How about for you, Erica?
I mean, I do similar things, but it's not usually video games. I feel like I tap out of those earlier on in the night, and then I'll like go to sleep watching like old Vine compilations or like, you know, or like weird like chiropractor like compilations on YouTube, because it's like just interesting enough that like I want to watch it, but not so interesting that I can't fall asleep to.
Chiropractor?
Yeah,
like
I don't know, something about the, like, first of all, I never want to see a chiropractor ever in my life, even once. But like, I have like, I don't know, I find it relaxing.
Like listening to bones cracking?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
It's no wonder you love wrestling.
One thing,
something really weird about me that like I don't tell people.
Well, we've aired yet another one of Erica's secrets.
Episode 61.
That's one of the nice things about the 3DS. I've been playing a bit of Pokemon on it. Not really enough that I have like concrete thoughts other than it's Pokemon. Pokemon's good. But
The Let's Go Pokemon?
no, it's Ultra Moon.
Cool.
That's the last 3DS one. So
sorry, right, 3DS. My bad.
One of the nice things about the 3DS is as a system is like, and Pokemon is good for this as a game too, but like I can play it before bed, and when I get tired, even if I'm in the middle of something, you can just shut it. And like it, as long as I get back to it and make sure, I mostly keep it on my nightstand anyway, so I can always just plug it in and make sure the battery doesn't die. So it's nice because you can just kind of tap in and out as easily as you want to. It's not even like with my Switch. I feel like when I'm done playing it, you know, when I play it, I'm like taking it off the dock or, you know, using it in the dock on the TV. And there's like a minute or so, but there isn't that feeling that I can just like shut it and stick it on the nightstand and then go to sleep, because I want to put it away correctly so that like the animals don't knock it over or whatever. Whereas with the 3DS, since it's just like a tiny thing, I could just like shut it and shove it into the nightstand and it doesn't bother me.
Totally.
So it's nice for that.
I wonder how it works with the 2DS. I wonder how that suspend works.
I would assume you push a button and then the power button. I definitely think without the ability to close it, though, I don't think I would enjoy that system nearly as much as I do. I think I would see it as even more of a pain to go back to than I do now.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I don't know. What games have you brought this week to play, or what games have you brought this week that you have played to talk about, Alex?
Oh boy. Let's start with the one that Erica might be interested in somewhat.
Okay.
So last week you were talking about the BTS rhythm game, and not just BTS, it's just K-pop artists in general.
Yeah.
And I haven't really played phone rhythm games before, really that much. But I happened upon an advertisement that I also sent to the group chat. I don't know if you watched it, but it is something special.
I saw it in the Budokan during the G1.
That's even better.
So I'm very familiar, yes.
Yes. So this was a advertisement featuring one Kenny Omega for the game Bang Dream Girls Band Party, which is a Japanese rhythm game for your mobile devices. It seems
it's
like
a great commercial.
Yeah, it's a really good commercial. It's currently playing on the streamed version of our podcast, the video version, if you are watching that. And it's good. The ad was ridiculous and was like, okay, let's see what this is all about. And downloaded it because I just, like I said, I hadn't really played one, and there'd been so much talk about it recently, so I thought I should try. And it's not what I expected. For one, it has like a really in-depth story mode, which is like weird, especially for a free game. Like with individual characters, and you're like recruiting characters into various bands and like leveling them up and stuff like that. And there's like side quests where you learn more about them and stuff. It's really weird, in a good way, though admittedly that does kind of get in the way of, you know, playing the songs every now and again, but whatever. It takes you about like half an hour to 45 minutes to get going with your first song because there's so much there's so much story. It's like JRPG style.
I don't think I could handle that in a phone.
You could totally skip it. Like there's a skip button.
Okay.
Like it's kind of
Okay,
but
good.
I should note the animation during these scenes is fucking insanely good. Like it's kind of looks like a visual novel in its presentation or like a Persona game, like when you're having conversation, but they like almost look like 3D models that are animated extremely well and smoothly. Like it's actually insane. But to kind of go from that's awesome to it's crappy again. The first time you download the game, it's like 40 megabytes or something like that, and then it downloads like 500 megabytes of other stuff as soon as you launch it the first time. So
oh my god,
and
I already have no space on my phone.
you can't navigate away from it either. Like if you're on an Android device and you like go to your home screen or something, it stops the download until you're in the app again.
Oh my god,
So
no!
you can't use your phone when you're doing it.
I feel like that's a pretty standard thing with a lot of games. So I just assume that anytime I download a phone game, I'm going to have to just plug it in and let it sit and download for 10 minutes or whatever and walk away.
That's the first time I've encountered it, actually.
Oh, I encounter it. I'm actually surprised now when I download a game and it doesn't do that. If it's this kind of game, again, like if it's a game like Tents and Trees, that's one thing.
Sure.
But any like mobile RPG or rhythm game or like game that has a lot of that isn't just repeatable content over and over again with just jumbled around models, it's bad.
The Superstar games, you downloaded each song as you wanted to like play it for the first time, but because it was such a short clip of each song, like it was, pretty fast, at least on my internet. But like,
that's fair. I think that's what it's doing here, but this game also has like an absolute ton of songs. Like and the selection of songs is actually super insane.
Should I be deleting apps on my phone to download this game?
I think it's really good.
Okay.
So like in terms of the music itself, I was really surprised by the selection. Like it has a lot of original music, and I would say a lot of the original music is kind of samey. Like it just kind of sounds like generic J-pop a lot of the time. But it has Persona music, like it has Persona 4 and 5 music. It has stuff from shows like Attack on Titan and the Evangelion theme, like Gurren Lagann, Re:Zero, Fullmetal Alchemist, Rurouni Kenshin, K-On!, Sailor Moon.
That's cool.
Psycho-Pass, Hatsune Miku, No Game, No Life. Like I could go on. There's tons of them.
All right, I'm deleting apps.
Yeah, that sounds like it's worth playing for sure.
Yeah, and it's pretty generous with what it gives you for currency to buy those songs. Like it's in-game currency that you use to buy them. And like each song was like 250, and by the time I finished the tutorial section, I had like 3,000 coins or whatever. So like
cool.
I could basically play all the songs I wanted. So yeah, it's good. And it does have gacha mechanics. You don't have to interact with them at all from what I've encountered. So I can't really complain about it. It's pretty generous with its free-to-playness, and like, man, if you watch YouTube videos of people playing that game at high levels, it's just totally mind-boggling. Like, I do not understand.
Yeah, that's one thing about these. Like, Citus is the same way. Citus gets hard, and like, if you want to play it at expert at a high level, it's actually like impressive watching people play that game. The thing I ran into with Citus 1, I think Citus 2 is a little bit better about this, but Citus 1 kind of throws all of the different types of music into a blender, and you're just kind of playing through a list of songs. Mm-hmm. And so many of them are really generic, like really, really, really kind of painfully generic. And it's because I don't want to bag on it too hard, because the Citus developers made all of the music for the game, I think, or at least a small team of people that they worked with made a lot of the music. I don't believe it is most 95% of it is established J-pop artists. I think there's a few songs in there that are like that, but I think Citus 2 is better about it because at least they cut it into different genres. So even though some of it is not as interesting and unique, you can sort of say like, I want to play the Screamo song now, and now I want to play the EDM song or whatever, rather than just going down a list of stuff that all kind of sounds the same.
Man, this isn't the venue for this. Oh, no. I've never known why people call it Screamo.
Because it's emo, but with screaming.
But like I've heard people call like Children of Bodom.
But that's just ignorant.
Okay.
That's just ignorance. Inside Us 2, it is screamo. It's like emo music with screaming.
So it's like Bullet for My Valentine.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yes.
We don't have to get into this right now.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that either. If it's good, I don't know.
Yeah.
The issue I have with it is that term being used as a pejorative, like, because it's doesn't like there is good emo and there is good emo that has screaming in it out there too. Like,
yeah. But yeah, we don't have to talk about this. It's fine.
Sure.
But either way, on the topic of screaming, Bang Dream Girls Band Party's good.
Yeah,
it's worth it. It's worth a download, especially if you're into anime music and or Persona. That's the only game I've seen in there, I think, unless you count Hatsune Miku. But like, I don't know. I don't think that counts.
Yeah. But what other game do you need, really?
Yeah, it's true. When you're going for JRPGs, like you're not going to do Final Fantasy. They have their own rhythm game. There was another game I played. I'm going to give it all the time it deserves, which is going to be about 30 seconds.
Was it the Division 2?
No, that one deserves about 20 seconds. I played, let's call it 4 minutes of Super Spung Run New Bob Amazing Adventure.
Oh God, you really did it.
Yeah. So
you threatened us with this.
So I'm not even putting a video up for this because it's terrible. Basically, it's clip art of SpongeBob wearing a Mario hat is the icon. The thing is, as soon as you get into the game, you're playing as Mario, and it's called Super Mario Run.
Oh my God.
I'm not even joking.
What? Is it actually Super Mario Run? Like,
no, it's not that game. It's you play Mario, just straight up Mario, but like gray hair, and he has a jetpack.
Okay, so it's a ripoff.
Wow.
Then.
It's a ripoff.
So wait, is it like Jetpack Joyride then?
Yes, but with terrible controls that don't always work.
Jetpack Joyride is a good ass game.
Yeah, but it's not good. This one is not good.
No, I believe you. Wait, is it officially licensed SpongeBob?
No.
Oh, okay.
SpongeBob only shows up on the title screen. That's the only place.
That's
what
the
you're
only
saying is people need to go get this game now because it's not going to be on the store for much longer.
Yep.
If it's still there at all.
I am going to read a review. You guys have heard this already. Yeah. I'm going to read it for posterity. Quote, "Wow, a very nice game. I like this one a lot. I had a lot of fun playing these game. The animation is just like the televisual program show entitled SpongeBob with Square Pants. Perhaps it is even better. Should be noted, SpongeBob is only on the main screen. I played it for a lot of time and click pressed on every ad just to support the developer, as you can see that this is really a labor of love. Amazing game. I only give 3 stars because I showed it to my infant nephew and he threw up over my tablet. I am typing this on my mobile telephone."
Wow.
So yeah, don't download that game. I'm sure it's full of fucking malware. But I'm going to talk about a real video game that I've played.
There we go. Okay.
But I'm actually not going to talk about it very much this week. I think I'm going to be talking about it more next week.
Okay.
But this is to give you a bit of a preview. And this just came out this week. Well, it's a remake of an old game called Caligula Effect. It is Caligula Effect Overdose. Now
I saw this on Steam and just assumed it was not good.
So
moved on. So I'm glad to...
I'm withholding my judgment on it so far. There's been things about it that have not been good. There's been things about it that have been kind of genius. So about a month ago, I talked about Heart of the Woods, the VN, the LGBTQ VN, and that was a lot of letters. And I've been actually stayed a part of their community and stuff, like on their Discord, just kind of keeping up. And their community was blowing up about how excited they were about this game. And I was like, that's really interesting. I'd barely even heard of this. Like I'd heard of it when it came out on Vita 2 or 3 years ago. But all of the feedback I heard about it was that it was terrible.
Yeah.
But they put a lot of love into this remake. They moved it to a completely new engine. It's on Unreal 4. They redid all the visuals. They redid all the combat and stuff, from what I understand. And they added a female protagonist because it was purely a male protagonist before. So I have been playing as the female protagonist, which has been cool. In terms of the game, it's basically like Persona, but in terms of its like themes, it's kind of like Persona crossed with Nier. And by that, I mean original Nier, not Automata. The combat is kind of like Persona, but it's also like XCOM mixed with like Frozen Synapse, if you've ever played Frozen Synapse. So
That's
there's
weird.
like mischances, and you're actually planning like 3 moves in advance, and you have 4 party members and you're planning all of their moves in a sequential order. So this person juggles them into the air, this person uses their shot that hits people who are in the air, and then this other person like does a status effect. Like, it's actually really neat. Though I will say it doesn't always work. The Frozen Synapse part comes from, you get to plan all of these moves. So you, like Frozen Synapse, you get to see what the computer thinks the computer will do, or like what the AI will do in response to whatever your move is. So you can kind of plan around that and go through different iterations until you finally lock in your final move set, which is cool. It's a really interesting system, though. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't work because of mischance. So like,
Sure.
I've had really frustrating moments where I have spent like, I don't know, a minute or something setting up this really detailed combo of, oh, this guy's going to do this and this girl's going to do this and blah, 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 blah. And then after the first move, instead of like, I miss my first move and then enemy puts up a shield and all the other attacks just miss. So like sometimes it's just a little frustrating that way. It does do some cool stuff. Like, it makes grinding a dungeon so much better than any other JRPG because your health and SP are per battle. They reset to full every battle, so you're not having to go and like, you know, bring mana items or whatever with you at all the time. So I
That's
actually really like that.
appealing to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I want to withhold my feelings on it because I'm about 8 hours in. It's about a 20 or 30 hour game. I've had pretty much a roller coaster of feelings about it, ranging from thinking it's absolutely terrible to thinking it's like genius. Yeah, I could get into a lot of details about all of it, but I think I want to wait until I finish it to kind of get into the story, get into what is so unique about it.
I feel like that's fair.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say about it that is really interesting and I think is worth looking up a video of or a picture of if you can find one is, have any of you guys played Path of Exile?
Yep.
Okay. You know that massive ass skill tree?
Yep.
Yeah.
So imagine if you had a skill tree that is that massive with like, I don't know, how many nodes does that have? Like 200?
I think it's more than that, but yeah, it's a lot.
Like, so imagine there is a social link system with every NPC in the game, and there's 538 nodes of these social links, and you have to navigate through all of them.
I guess the question, the thing, we don't have to get into it now. We can get into it next week. But the thing maybe to think about as you think about talking about it next week, what frustrates me about games with huge systems like that, it works in Path of Exile because it's a service game. So you play it in perpetuity. When I see story-based games that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, sometimes it puts me off of the game if it's got this like massive network of nodes, because are you going to engage with all of that?
Right. And that's actually a conversation I had with that community originally, because I'm like, so how many people who are playing this game are actually interacting with this? It's called the causality link. And they said you can completely ignore it if you want.
And that frustrates me.
It's mostly for the higher difficulties because they're,
That's fair, I guess.
These aren't actual social links. They're kind of like side quests.
Sure.
There are social links with your core party members, like like in the Persona style. These are more like you are learning about each of these characters. Okay, I'm going to get into it a bit. Haha. I find it really interesting because the director of the game spent years and years studying psychology. So each of these NPCs has some kind of quote unquote trauma that you are looking to deal with. So there's like people with bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, stuff like that. And they're actually using medical terms, which has been really cool. Like I've actually had to go in and look up a few terms because I didn't know what they meant, like hyperthymesia, like stuff like that. And they're like, oh yeah, if someone has hyperthymesia, you have to find someone who can counteract that, like that basically means these people are scared of their own past because they have secrets they don't want to share with anyone, and you have to show them that everyone has secrets. So like you're doing all these side quests, and what that gives you is passive bonuses for the rest of the game. So like
Alex, we have a question from the chat from one Allison who wants to know, do you think Allison would like this?
I'm gonna wait until we finish, or until the game is finished, because the first dungeon did not wow me. The second dungeon has been really interesting in terms of just characterization and writing. The localization, I found like spelling errors and stuff. So like occasionally it pulls you out. So I'm going to wait until I finish it, which I plan on finishing it this week. So
I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it, because I feel like you've said a lot of things that make me want to play it, but the fact that you're not like hype about it, or that you're more reserved about giving it like a glowing review has me like, you know.
And I think if you look online, the reviews have been similar. I saw a few 10 out of 10s and I saw a few 2 out of 10s. So
yeah, that's interesting. I'm definitely interested in that too. I don't think it's something I would be able to squeeze into my list of things I have to play anytime in the very near future, but it sounds intriguing. I like Persona a lot, so, you know. Yeah.
And the thing is, from what I understand, talking to that community, is that it's kind of the anti-Persona in that it sets you up to believe some characters are going to act a certain way, especially with like anime tropes. Oh, the redheaded girl is going to be all fiery and stuff. But it turns out, no, the redheaded girl is really reserved and has been through like domestic abuse or something like that.
Sure.
And like you're uncovering this, and like it's really interesting. And yeah, I'll again, we'll see how it goes. But Caligula Effect Overdose, I'm playing it on Switch. I think it's on everything though.
That's cool. It's on Switch. I just saw it on PC, so yeah, it's neat. Cool. Erica.
Yes.
What have you brought for us this week?
I'm playing a game called Hypnospace Outlaw.
Fuck.
God, it looks so cool.
It's great.
I don't think I want to play that game, but I just want to watch people play.
I mean, you might, honestly.
I don't know. It looks like a lot and a half to sit down and play that game.
So, I would say, like, if you're a fan of Papers, Please, and if you're a fan of like Her Story, and if you're a fan of GeoCities,
I mean, I'm a fan of all of those things.
Then this is a good game for you.
Maybe I'll try to squeeze it in something.
I love that last one.
Yeah, so like I was watching the quick look from on Giant Bomb for it yesterday. Yeah, like I hadn't heard of the game. I know it's been like hyped for almost a year now, but I hadn't heard of it before. And then my husband was watching the quick look, and then he stopped the quick look and was like, "No, you need to watch this with me." And then I immediately downloaded the game. So
wait, can we pause for 1 second?
Yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt, but it only has 154 user reviews right now on Steam, but it's at 99% positive.
That's great.
It's great. It's
pretty
wonderful.
impressive.
That's real good.
It's fantastic.
Well, maybe I will play this game.
So like Ben from Giant Bomb said that you play as a GeoCities cop, which is an extremely good way to like describe what this game is.
And like it looks like you're on an old computer from the like mid to late 90s. So like it has all the computer OS interface, right?
Yes, it does. And it's like it's done in such a loving way. Like you could tell that the developer of this game really has a lot of affection for like what technology was like in, you know, the mid to late 90s, because like it's not okay, so today I was playing, right, and I had a virus on my computer, like my in-game computer, and so like for whatever reason I had like like the whole screen just kept like rocking side to side because
That's cool.
I uninstalled the program that was giving me the virus, but then like after that it said like, oh, whatever.exe, it was mostly uninstalled from your computer. And so that was like the only thing that was left behind.
Cool. That's kind of
that's really
the two things that look, and you can maybe like assuage my concerns and get me to buy it. But like the two things that I was wondering is, one, if it actually interacts with the OS, which it sounds like it does.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I saw all those elements and it's very cool, like being able to enable the console and stuff. But if that doesn't mean anything, and if you're not using it, like, I don't know that I'm that enthused about that stuff just being like aesthetic trappings.
So you're kind of
all
asking...
of those icons that are on like the desktop or whatever, I have clicked at all of them several times and you do stuff with them, but then also I've downloaded like a bonsai buddy style like cool. like dude who comes and talks to you,
cool.
like,
yeah, so that's kind of
asks you if you need help. Like
the other thing that I'm wondering is whether or not it's like linear.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Alex?
I was gonna say, just from what I've seen, I haven't played it, but it didn't exactly look wholly linear. But I don't know, Erica, what would you say?
There are cases, so like you're going based on, there's like 5 different like laws that the users can, well, not laws, but rules that they can break. Like I forgot what they are, but they're like, the acronym was CHIME. It's like copyright infringement, harassment, whatever, and malicious software.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. So like, so there are cases, and you can close the case once you hit like however many reported violations, like they want you to hit, like if there's like 2 or 4 or whatever, but you can get like bonuses if you find more, but you can find those at any point. It's just you can close the case after like 2, and then like another one will like pop up for you.
Sure.
But like you can also, if you're like, oh, I feel weird about like closing this one because what if there's more that I find later, like you can still report it and you'll still get paid. The whole thing is you're getting paid to do this, like you're with like their weird hypno coins, which are not like real money. Yeah. And like so you're trying to earn your hypno coins by like reporting these things or going on investigations that they send you on. So it doesn't, I'm not going to say it's like not linear, but it's like, it's, I don't know.
I guess the thing, the best adventure games, all adventure games, and this is basically like an adventure game, right? Like that's kind of what you're interacting with. The adventure is on the web, but like the best, all adventure games really are, when you boil it down, is a series of like mouse clicks, right? Like I'm talking like LucasArts style adventure games, like Myst and stuff. Like it's all puzzles, which you could look at a guide that just says click here, click here, click here, click here, click here, click here, click here. The best adventure games obfuscate that by making the puzzles really engaging and interesting, and by like making you feel like you are having impact in the space, even if what you're actually doing input wise is just clicking on different things. So like watching this be played, the art is so good, and like the audio is so good, and so much of the presentation is incredible. Mm-hmm. But if what you're doing primarily is like open web page, look for thing, click on thing, compare that thing to a thing you saw before, and then click on another thing based on that, like that's the thing that it seemed like maybe it could be, you could fall into, of it seeming kind of like you're just sort of pixel hunting a web page instead of a background.
I feel like you could kind of say the same thing for Papers, Please, though. I mean, at some point,
to an extent, yes, and that's part of why I didn't enjoy Papers, Please as much as I ended up enjoying Return of the Obra Dinn, which you could also say that about. Sure. Because of the way that Obra Dinn presents it all, it worked more for me. So it's more of a me thing than anything else. Like I'm not saying, that's kind of why I say like all adventure games, all point and click adventure games kind of boil down to that, because
sure, like, So you're looking for something that more uses your brain as the mechanic, like
yes.
So
like that's a good way to put it.
Even though we might have misgivings about the creator of the game, The Witness was very good at that. Where
yes,
you were only blocked, like you could go in any order, and you were only blocked by your knowledge. So as you unlocked more knowledge and logic, you were able to progress. So like that's
a perfect example.
This game is not as good as The Witness, but few games are.
Which is fine. It doesn't need to be.
But like, I would say that, I mean, I'm finding it difficult, you know? I think I'm like,
cool.
And not to sound, you know, braggy and cocky, but like I've played a lot of these types of games.
You're
like I think
too.
I'm good at them. Yeah, like I think I'm good at puzzly games, and I got stuck for 45 minutes just now. So like
that's cool.
So like there's definitely difficult elements to this. I just would say that it's not like you're not getting hit with every single case all at once, and you need to just like, you know, find it. There's unlisted pages and stuff too. So like there are, you know, it's not just like there is a finite number of pages, I'm sure, but it's not like you can't just click through all of them and just check each one of them for whatever you're looking for. You know,
get to the dark web.
I think ultimately what I wish what this game made me like, watching this game be played, and this game does not have to be this to be really good either, but ultimately watching this game be played made me want this game, but also its Deus Ex, where like, not that the structure of the game changes at all, but that you're actually given different routes to solve problems that are all things you would have to come up with just by observing the environment, being the web pages. And then it has effects on where the narrative goes based on the ways you resolve things. But I don't expect this game to be that either.
I think that might happen.
Okay, cool. I mean, it seems like it could.
Like I don't know for sure yet, but there's definitely some hints that like, you know, there's some shitty things maybe going on with like the
Hypnospace organization. Yeah,
the Hypnospace organization. Like there's like one of the things that you can, one of the violations is extra legal commerce. So like if you there's, I forgot what it's called, Kappa Cash, I think it's like I don't know, I guess it was like another way for people to get paid in the game, where like you can't exchange hypno coins for real money, but you can exchange whatever Kappa Cash is. So like you do get an email at some point saying like, okay, go find everybody with the Kappa Cash like on their sites except this one guy. Do not report this guy. And like,
interesting. Okay, that's
like
cool.
That was maybe like a branch there as to whether or not like how the organization is going to treat you eventually.
That's interesting.
That's very cool.
Is there a fail state? Like, can you, like, what happens if you say this person is engaging in one of these transactions and you point to this evidence, but they weren't? Like, does it tell you that? Do you fail a case?
You don't fail a case. As far as I know, there's no real like downside to like accusing anybody of anything, which I think is kind of actually good, because I do think that some things are a little bit on the like ambiguous side as to whether or not like is this image graphic, because it says like, you know, like no gory images, but you know, there's like a guy getting his head chopped off. Like, I don't know, but it's like, you know, it's not like, it doesn't look gory to me, but like,
yeah, for sure.
Also, you know, not like, so there's some gray areas there. So I think it's actually better to not have it punish you for it. But yeah, as far as I know, there's no real downside to like, reporting somebody, and you find out like almost immediately. Like, it runs slow because it's like an old computer, but like it gives you like semi immediate feedback before you
That's
start
cool.
doing anything else. Cool. Yeah, that's
good to know.
Yeah, I think a good analog to kind of what I was saying before, you mentioned Her Story earlier.
Yeah.
And Her Story is one of the reason I think the whole reason that I like Her Story as much as I do, it's less because of the interface, and it's because based on what you do and don't watch, you can end up with a different understanding of how the events of that narrative played out.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to a choice at the end, and it asking you what your feelings on the case as a whole are. And I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it, but it's fascinating because there is such a wealth of material there that to go through it all feels very daunting. But if you don't go through it all and you commit to the end, suddenly you're left with a like, well, wait, but was I right? And the game leaves it very open as to whether or not you were. So that kind of set a standard for me for these kinds of games of like, that's sort of what I want, is that ambiguity. And to see it borne out into a game that is a little bit more, it has more stuff that you do rather than just watch video clips. Not that I'm knocking her story, because it's a brilliantly told story and it's really good, but it's such a simple set of interactions. This looks like it might be that, but almost like built out further. And then obviously with a totally different aesthetic and tone.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It looks really cool. It looks like something that I probably should play.
Yeah.
Like, I'll let you know how I feel about it when I finish it, because I can't imagine I won't finish it at this point. I'm a few hours in, but not. I think it's about a 10-ish hour game to beat it, but there's there's a lot more content in there if you want it. But yeah, I think it's about 10 to see the story. But I'm maybe like 4-ish hours in.
So Erica, what was your GeoCities page? Or your Homestead page, or your what was there like?
I was a little too young for GeoCities. Like, I remember visiting GeoCities pages, but I never had one.
Yeah, I didn't have one either. I just visited them.
I think I probably had a Linkin Park one at some point.
No, I did have. I've told the story numerous times recently, and I don't know why it keeps coming up. Like, it's not been prompted by this game, but I was in a Battlefield 1942 Desert Combat, specifically clan called the Dark Killer Penguins. It was like period, semicolon, DKP, period, semicolon was the clan tag. Sure. We had a GeoCities page that when you went to it, there was a 50-50 chance that you would hear Paradise City or Headstrong by Trapped.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then it listed our contact information. We did play one competitive match, which we called ourselves a professional team, and the other team called themselves a professional team, but no one was getting paid and there wasn't anyone watching. So, which we won. And then we never played any other clan matches.
Speaking of,
I was more of the Zanga era. I ran a Zanga at one point that like compiled like a list of, and I put so many hours into it too, of like MP3s that you could like just stream straight from like the computers, that you could put it in as like your song, like from the browser, like an in-browser one, but it was only lovingly compiled it of only pop punk music.
Yep, that's very good.
It was your mixtape.
So mixtape. Yeah. But you know.
But Pat, I was also in a clan around those eras, and I was in a clan with Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. With the Elite Force Posse, EFP.
That's very
who were affiliated with New World Order, NWO, not the wrestling organization. And I distinctly remember.
They didn't have an esports branch.
But I distinctly remember telling my father, "Dad, I joined a clan," and him being like, "What?"
Yeah, I ultimately had to leave the Dark Killer Penguins because we communicated through AOL Instant Messenger, and at one point my mom sat down at the computer when I was still logged into AIM, and the person like started talking and asking me to play, and use some not like slur-filled language, but at the time for me, who was like 13, it was definitely colorful language.
Sure.
Because this dude was like in his 20s that ran this clan, and my mom was like, "Who is this?" And when I explained it, I was made to make my retire from professional Battlefield 1942 Desert Combat play.
Yeah, but it's super funny being a 12-year-old being like, "Yeah, a clan is just a group of people who are playing games online," and then just being like, the reaction being, "Oh yeah, good."
At least they didn't get called cults. Like when it was decided that clan was going to be the vernacular, at least it wasn't like, no, we don't want to touch clan. Let's go with cults.
I don't know if it's that much better in retrospect, but who am I to say? Either way, this game seems pretty good.
Yeah, there's also the music is so good.
Yeah,
so good. There's like a fake Linkin Park band called
Yes.
It's just great.
As someone who actually really liked Linkin Park and
Same.
still likes Linkin Park, to be honest.
Same.
That was hilarious.
There's like a Christian like there's like gospel music on here. It's just like it's great. It's fantastic.
That's very funny.
I can't wait to play that game.
It's all good. It's the font choices are fantastic. Like I can't say enough good things about the way this game looks. Like I feel like there's a really thin line between like too much and like just enough, and it's just enough, you know?
That's good to hear.
But yeah, I don't know. You should play this game.
We should, if we did a best style award, this would basically win.
Well, we do a best looking award. Yeah. We can have the fight again this year if that means art direction and aesthetic, or
this wins both.
Technical.
This one's both, yeah.
All right.
Well, that sounds great. I would love to fit it in with all of the other games that I am now currently engaged in.
Your list is like a zillion items long.
Yeah, I won't go into detail about every single thing I played. Like I know that you grab videos for things like The Sims 4. I don't need to say that much about The Sims 4 other than The Sims is really good, and I do a thing every year where I buy, like when the most recent expansion goes on sale for like half off or whatever, I'll buy it, then reinstall it and play it for, 10 hours over a couple weeks, and then usually let it go again. The only thing that I'm trying to get out of this time is I always tend to make like nerdy couple living in the city in an apartment that have nerdy jobs, and then I just play that, and that's like what I always do. So I'm kind of trying. I mean, I'm in that situation right now, but I want to move them out of the city and actually build a house and stuff, because I like never engage with the building elements or anything, because I just move them into apartments because I think the apartment mechanics are fun.
Sure.
Because you have to deal with like your neighbors and stuff. But it's the interesting thing that the most recent expansion added. It's called Get Famous. It's from like October or November last year. In the past, I think The Sims 2, they didn't have a fame-based expansion for The Sims 3. There was a mechanic for it in there, but it was pretty limited. This whole expansion was built around adding fame points to the game, which is kind of feels what?
I just thought about Fame Douglas, and if they put Fame Douglas into The Sims.
Well, you could put Fame Douglas into The Sims.
You're right.
There's no reason you could. The thing that's cool about the celebrity system is that they went through, it adds a new career type, it adds the acting career, but they actually went back through, I think, every single career, of which there are like 30 or 40 or something like that. And they added fame stuff to each career. Like you can just get famous on your own. Like you can post to Instagram. There's like it's called Simstagram, because of course it is. And you can actually like take pictures of your pets and put them on Simstagram, which is like a thing. And then
now I'm back in.
Followers. Like my family has a cat, and the guy because he's a cat lover, that's one of his traits. He took a picture of the cat and posted it to Simstagram, and then the cat got fame points. So your pets can get famous.
What? That's all right. That's pretty good.
That's the thing with these expansions is like, if you say like, oh, it adds a fame system, on its face, that seems kind of like limited for an expansion. But the thing with The Sims 4 that they've managed to do so brilliantly is integrate those systems in so deeply with existing expansion mechanics. Like the cat thing, you can't have a cat unless you have the pets expansion. So the fact that they included that as a thing is really impressive, because it shows that the expansions all link together in a way that they all kind of felt like their own little islands to a degree in previous games, to me anyway. So I think that's really cool. They also add things to like the woman in the house that I'm playing is a politician. So she has fame she has situations come up. She's still like a low level politician. But as you get elected to different offices, and it's a mechanic. Like the career mechanics are actually like pretty cool in The Sims 4. The politician career, you actually have to like get people to vote for you and stuff, and sort of campaign. You gain fame points for doing that kind of stuff, even though that career has been around for a while. And then like the dude that I'm playing is a tech guru. So it's a path that actually branches, and you can either become an esports professional or a startup, the guy who runs startup companies. So I went the startup route, but if you do the esports side, you can, you can do like, as far as I know, I haven't actually engaged with it yet, but you can do like live streams and stuff, where you get fame points for that. And then there's a fame skill tree. And like when you go out in public, people will recognize that you're famous and either accost you, or you get bonuses sometimes for different things. So it's a pretty cool expansion.
I feel like that's something. I feel like Arteezy is going to play that and then make himself.
Yeah. So the thing that is I'm hoping I really kind of hope The Sims 4 is the last Sims game. The one fundamental feature that it doesn't have that The Sims 3 did that I really liked, but was kind of divisive among the community, was The Sims 3 was an open world game.
Yep.
In that the whole neighborhood was loaded in at once. So you could walk your sim from the house down the street and follow them with the camera to go to like the grocery store or whatever. I thought that was very cool. It limited certain things with like lot size, and it was limiting in ways with like what you could do to lots, because technically it was hard to have all of those, like have too detailed of a map, basically. Like it wasn't like there was hard limits on you can only put this many objects in your home or anything, but it definitely was more limited than The Sims 4 is in terms of what you can build on a lot and do on a lot. But otherwise, like if they were to make a Sims 5, and this is what always happens with Sims games, it was a little better from Sims 2 to 3 because of the whole open world thing, and then from 3 to 4 because it allowed you to do more detailed stuff. But if they were to make a Sims 5 and it didn't have the fame system in it, it would feel like a step backwards. Yeah. So I kind of hope that they continue to just add things to The Sims 4. It's a great looking game. It plays very, very well. They kind of hit a sweet spot in terms of how the like lifetime of your Sims works versus what you can accomplish and stuff. So I don't know. It's a very cool game. I can certainly answer any questions, but everyone knows what The Sims is.
For one, that actually reminds me a lot of the Civilization 6 expansion, The Gathering Storm, in that like its mechanics are retroactive and makes the whole game better because it's like a it's like a persistent factor across everything. So that's super neat. And also, I like how you said this is a game we didn't have to talk very much about. So,
yeah, I know.
Oh boy, we're in for a long one.
Yeah. No, I won't. That's actually about how long I think everything that I have to talk about is. Are you interested in stylish action or competitive mobile gaming?
Sure.
Yes.
You have to pick one.
Oh,
So I'm going to talk about them both.
Let's talk about mobile gaming.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have either of you ever played Clash Royale?
No. I'm aware of it, but I have not actually played
I'm like
it.
familiar with it, but I haven't. Like Xavier played it. I've seen him play it.
So quickly, on a basic level, Clash Royale is 2 lanes. You have a hand of cards. You play those cards into either lane. Then they rush your opponent's side of the map. Cards clash in the middle. Playing a card summons a unit, basically. You can't control the units after you play them. Playing the card causes it to run towards your opponent's base, and the goal is for them to get through their enemies and kill their opponent's base. It's a really cool system because it is all about counters. So it's all about like, I see what my opponent is playing and I need to play something that will effectively counter it, or take advantage of the fact that they just spend a lot of resources playing a big card in this lane so I can press the other lane. Mm-hmm. It's like very simple strategy on its face, but it actually has a lot of depth because of the way all of the different units interact, because there's like tons of units. So anyway, the problem with Clash Royale that I had was it's extremely, extremely pay to win, like extremely, like you have to pay for the privilege of being competitive, basically, which was an immediate turnoff for me. Because as you climb their ranked ladder, which is not actually a ladder, but as you climb their rankings, you get access to higher levels of cards, and then you have to grind out or pay for currency to upgrade your cards, and it can just go on perpetually. And so what it means is, like, when you match against someone, you might just play someone who has higher level cards. And that sucks. And it makes it impossible for me to feel like it's a like good competitive game, even though they do have a competitive scene for it. It's like, imagine if in Hearthstone you were gated from having certain cards because you're lower ranked on the ladder. It just doesn't work for me at all. And it feels really negative.
What I heard about Clash Royale is that they would purposefully match you into some matches that were with someone who was higher level. That way that they would be like, hey, look, this guy's doing so much better because he has these cards.
Yeah, I don't know if that actually happened or not, if it was ever confirmed, but it certainly felt that way playing it.
Right.
I was going to say, like, why wouldn't they just match you with people who have similar cards to as you? But I guess that's exactly why.
And that's kind of the idea, is that you were in these brackets where you would move up over time, and then you'd be fighting a new tier of cards. Yeah. But it didn't work out well. So anyway, what I played some of this week is a game called Minion Masters. So this is it's a PC game, not on mobile. And it's been in early access for a while. It's the people that made the Forced games, which I hadn't really even heard of before I checked this game out a while ago, but they have, I mean, some people played them. They were like card-based, but like action RPGs. They had like, I think like a tower defense-y one and then an action RPG one that are fairly well regarded on Steam, actually, in terms of the user reviews.
Sure.
I do know what this is. Okay.
Yeah. So Minion Masters, I played it about a year ago, and then it seemed like it kind of was not gonna make it, frankly. Like it seemed like a cool idea. It's very much in the vein of Clash Royale. That's kind of why I went through that. It's like, you could almost call it a clone of that for sure.
So it was the oh god, what was the battle royale game that was terrible?
Oh yeah,
it was like the Radical Heights of these kinds of games.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like, it didn't have that great of a look, and it felt kind of, I didn't love the tone of the art, which I don't in Clash of Clans or Clash Royale either, but
sure.
It felt like it wasn't going to make it. And at the time, I thought it had a similar card leveling mechanic. I don't think it ever did, but I think I thought it did last year when I played it. And the UI is very confusing in like the like main screen, not the game screen, but like the menus are really confusing. So I kind of like played it for a little bit and then let it go. But I noticed last week that there was a free piece of DLC for it being offered. So I clicked into it because I was like, well, I do have this. When I played it last year, I spent like $5 to get into the early access because their early access starting pack was on sale or whatever.
Sure.
I was like, well, I do have this, so I should grab this free DLC. I'm surprised this game is still running, frankly. And so I clicked into the Steam page and saw that I want to get the numbers right. I should have pulled it up ahead of time. I immediately was drawn to the fact that it is now free to play, so it does not cost anything to get in. Out of 13.5 thousand reviews of all time, it's got an 88% positive.
Pretty good.
And out of the 4,000 reviews in the last month, it has a 96% positive.
Wow.
Cool. Which I'm not a big fan of Steam reviews because I think they can be manipulated negatively in really shitty ways. But generally, if something is reviewed very well, it's a good sign. So I was kind of surprised that like, and then there's all of these press accolades from like YouTubers and influencers and stuff. So I was kind of like, well, maybe I should try this game again. They're putting out this big new piece of content and there's all this stuff. And I think it's pretty fantastic. And I think it probably has legs for quite some time. Because it does all the cool stuff that Clash Royale did, but there's not the same pay to win issues. You don't level up your cards. You technically do, but it's mostly for cosmetic reasons. By leveling up cards, you can include multiple copies of them in your deck, but that's pretty negligible and only really relevant for like super high level play. So by the time you were to play at that level anyway and really need it, you would probably have the cards leveled up anyway, because it's not like they're not going from level 1 to 5 or whatever, and then getting stronger as they go. So it's flat, And then it's also structured more like a game like Hearthstone in terms of the way its ranked ladder works. You're getting ranked against people that are of the same rank as you, and then sort of progressing down from Wood League to Stone League to whatever. So more like a traditional MOBA or a card game rank system. And it's just a collectible card game in terms of the way you get the cards. You could argue that there's pay to win elements to any CCG, which is fair, but you're just getting like packs of cards, and they give you a lot of free cards, and you only really need 12 to build a deck. I think it's 12. No, I'm looking at it's 10 actually. You only need 10 to build a deck. So it's not like you need to collect hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And like the DLC that they put out for free last week was basically a deck of the new faction. Just go in and play with a bunch of stuff that's synergized as well already. So that stuff is really cool. The matchmaking is quick. The games take 3 to 10 minutes, depending on how contentious they get, which is like feels like a really good amount of time, but they still feel like there's a lot of strategy.
I was gonna say that seems like ideal because you could just pop in and out if you want to.
Yep. There's cool 2v2 modes where like you have a teammate and you're both playing cards into the arena. And then the other thing that I really love, there's a lot of cool cosmetic stuff, but it's actually there are different masters, they're called, as well. So you build your deck and then you pick what master to play with, and the masters have basically like kind of MOBA like abilities. And they're the guys that like stand on your base, and they're kind of like summoning the units. So like the one you start out with, they're treated like MOBA characters. So you can buy a pack that includes all of them for like $20, or you can play free rotation characters, and then everybody gets access to the most basic guy for free. And that most basic one, the way he works is he just has like a bow and arrow, and he shoots it at enemies that start to come close to the tower. And as you play the match, if you're watching the video, like the bridges between the two sides of the play field change colors based on who most recently ran units over them. So when it's blue, that means you are in control of it, and you're gaining XP at a steady clip. And I believe you get XP whenever you send a unit over while you're in control of it too. But you'll notice like little XP bubbles pop up over them. So that levels up your character's ability, your master's abilities. Some of them are active. Some of them do things like add additional cards to your deck, depending on the character. The basics bow and arrow guy, I believe his attack speed increases with 1 level. And then the next level, his shot becomes global, which makes it very powerful for pressuring because he'll shoot anything, even if it's on the other side of the map. So anyway, there's like 15 characters like that too, so that you can kind of synergize putting your deck of cards together with one of these characters and their abilities. Like the character in the video right now, he can, on the left side, he can actually jump down from the platform and become a creep that's running across the board, and a strong one. So it's cool. There's just a lot of really neat abilities. There's a ton of cards. It's really accessible, kind of easy to understand at a basic level, and then it gets pretty deep as you play it. So I recommend it.
Cool.
Like I know you said you weren't really thrilled about the look of this game, and I think it's kind of not cute, but I kind of like it.
No, so actually I should say it's gotten way better. When I played it last year, it didn't have as diverse a set of art. There weren't like different arenas, and the cards were a lot more generic looking. Now I think it actually has a pretty solid look. It's a little. I
saw a dude named King Puff for a second. I really like the look of that dude.
yeah. So there's some cool stuff in there visually. They've definitely continued to improve. So, and it's free, so there's nothing to stop you from trying it out. And they give you a fair number of cool things to play with for free. So yeah, I recommend that.
Right on.
And then
sorry, you said it's only PC, right?
Yes, it is only PC. It works really well on PC because you have 4 cards in your hand at a time from your 10 card deck, and they bind them to the Q, W, E, and R keys.
Oh, okay.
So you can drag them out. Like in the video we have up, there's the person's dragging them out, but no one would do that. You put the hotkey and it just snaps to your mouse pointer when you have the hotkey. So like you just drop it where you want to drop it.
Dota with someone who clicks their abilities.
Yes, you don't do that. Don't ever do that. But because of that too, since it has that sort of, it makes it pretty accessible, and it doesn't feel like you are at a disadvantage if your APMs aren't good. It's not like an RTS where you need to like be able to click things really fast. You can actually get by even if you're just wanting to play it a little bit slower paced. So that's cool.
Boy, Pat, it sounds like you've been playing some free-to-play games. What is another good free-to-play game that is better than a currently for sale game?
I would say better than 3. So like better than one for sale game that just came out, but I guess the jury's still kind of out. Significantly better than a recent AAA game, and still better than another AAA game. I have been playing quite a bit of Warframe this week. Which is in my opinion, the Shlooter killer. If everyone just played Warframe, we wouldn't need no stinking Destinies. God, we wouldn't need no stinking Anthems.
Are we using Shlooter for real now?
It's over. It's already over.
Okay.
You already did it. You can't take it back now.
No, I mean, it's already over in a wrestling sense. Shlooter is the term now.
Oh no, I think it's only over with you.
That's not true. Open Twitter.
And Alex Navarro, it's you too.
No, there's so many people. The Spawn on Me crew has settled on calling them co-op shooters, which I take issue with because there were co-op shooters before Destiny, and there will be co-op shooters when the Shlooter is dead.
Oh God.
God, please don't say Shlooter again.
I'm gonna keep saying it. Just wait till next week when Sam's on and he has to talk about the not as good Shlooter. The next thing is that Warframe is not a Shlooter. It's not. It's a fantastic action based shooter in Shlooter trappings.
It's a scooter.
So anyway,
every time you say it, I get more tense. It's just like it's an upset.
I don't understand why.
The sound of it sounds horrible.
Taboo.
Is it? I mean, like, is it like a moist thing? Like the word moist is bad?
Yeah,
so it's like it'd be really bad if you had a moist Shlooter to play.
Oh God, my Shlooter is so moist when we're talking about this. Let's just.
So
I'm announcing my retirement from this podcast right now.
So we have a podcast title. Thanks.
Moist Shlooters. Anyways, Warframe. Have either of you played Warframe before?
No, but we've talked about it quite a bit at this point.
Yeah, we have talked about it a fair bit. But the thing that I this week I sort of started the week deciding like I'm going to get my K drive, which is the hoverboard in the Fortuna open world zone that we've kind of talked about before. So I did that, and that was fun. And then I just kept playing it, and I just think like that everyone should play that game.
That's cool
because it's like really, really, really good. In a way that it satisfies like. If you sit down and you want to play something mindless where you just like grind through stuff, you could open up Warframe and do that and still be doing productive things. If you want to play really challenging cooperative content that you actually have to really think about your loadout and build going in, it has that in it. If you want to play a more open worldy kind of game where you're just sort of like literally riding around on a hoverboard that you can do tricks, Tony Hawk style tricks on, that is in this game. Like if you want to play a space game, there are space missions in this game where you fly around in 3D space and it feels like you're flying in an Anthem javelin, but you get to shoot a gun and swing a sword while you're flying around in space. Like it's an anime, which is fucking rad. It's just like, there's so much meat to it. And I think it's so intimidating from when you watch people play it. Like Giant Bomb had a stream this week where they played with Mike Mahardy from GameSpot, and all of the Giant Bomb folks that were on it, I think it was Alex, Dan, and Vinny, all just kind of like looked like mouth agape at the end of it. And I think Vinny said it's like Mike showed them a peanut butter sandwich and then the results of like what it would look like if someone had to develop a peanut butter sandwich for 12 years. And that's totally fair because it does kind of look like nonsense when it's on screen, but it actually is way more accessible than it looks at first glance, because the way it doles out content to you is very much like just play through missions. And eventually you're going to hit a point where the game is going to tell you need to do something that you won't know how to do. Mm-hmm. And then you will go onto Google and search. Like for me, it was, I needed to scan 3 cephalon fragments to open a relay to another planet to proceed down the map. I didn't know what a cephalon fragment was or how to scan them. So I searched cephalon fragments Warframe and then came up with like a guide for that whole system and what it is about, and did some reading for 5 minutes and then understood and then started working through that objective. And it's just a really cool way to sort of teach you over time how the mechanics work. I hit a difficulty wall where there was a boss I couldn't beat. So I finally had to start interacting with the mod system, which is like very much at the core of that game. All of the frames and weapons, the characters and weapons that you have, you equip mods on them, which are like cards that give them bonus damage, elemental damage, faster fire speed, whatever. And it's extremely intimidating at first because there's thousands of them. And it's not, you have to put time into acquiring and upgrading specific ones. So at first it's very intimidating because it's like, you like I had built up a lot of currency to upgrade cards with. I could have very easily burned 20 hours of having acquired stuff on a shitty card that I shouldn't be really using. That's very situational and not good for me to use at that time with that frame or weapon. So it's intimidating, but it's a really fun, like, it's almost like if you woke up one day, I don't know if either of you do this, but like I used to do this thing more when I was in college, and I would have like long summers where I would have not a lot of work and a lot of free time because I worked, but it wasn't the same as now. Mm-hmm. And I would go like, today I want to learn about model airplanes. And I would spend a bunch of time like learning about how to build and fly remote control airplanes. Maybe wouldn't like buy one, but I would do a bunch of research on it with like the idea that maybe I would buy one at some point. So this game like kind of lets you do that with its mechanics, where you can choose what you engage with, but it's not because there are mechanics that are not meaningful. It's just because there's such a breadth of content available that you really can kind of pick what you want to focus on for a sitting. And I don't know, it's really fun. And then when you add into all of that, like I have a friend who has played more than I have. For context, like you have an overall mastery rank that gates certain activities for you, but not because you need to have a certain strength level. Like your mastery rank has no bearing on how powerful you are. It's about how much you've done, basically. So like you could have a maxed out frame, and like I have 2 frames now, 2 Warframe characters that are at max level, multiple weapons that are at max level. I could essentially do like almost end game level content with my stuff, but they gate that stuff from you so that you can go in when you're kind of ready from an understanding perspective. So he's ranked 14, which is fairly high. Obviously there are people in the like 40s and 50s who have played it tons and tons over its release, but you don't gain mastery rank very quickly. Like I've played for 40 hours now and I'm rank 4. So it's separate from any kind of character level.
Interesting.
But when you add all this stuff together with like, he has a reason still to play with me because he has characters and weapons that he has at lower levels. So going back through some of the simpler, I don't even want to say easier, but simpler content with me is still valuable for him to like level up those characters. So there's a lot of reasons to play with friends too. And it's just, I don't know, it's a really cool game. And I have spent, I think I spent like $10 on a starter pack when I first started playing a few years ago. And I haven't spent a dime on it since, and like could easily see playing it for another 200 or 300 hours without needing to spend more money on it.
So when are you going to get into EVE Online?
I've already gotten into it, gotten deep on it, and then escaped it. So don't worry.
This is like the least surprising thing I think I've ever heard.
I played EVE Online pretty significantly in college. I
100% believe you.
Yeah.
I mean, I always tell people like EVE Online is a great game if you want to get a text at 4 a.m. from a person who you consider a pretty good friend, who you only know from EVE Online, who also lives in like Poland, and get told you need to wake up and you need to be tackling in 20 minutes because there's a Russian hit squad coming to blow up our station. EVE Online is a magnificent, beautiful animal of a game, but holy shit, it is a lifestyle.
I love hearing stories about it, but my God, am I never going to play that game.
Yeah, and I kind of see Warframe and EVE Online of being cut from a similar cloth. Not the same cloth, obviously, because they're completely different gameplay, but just in that the mechanical depth and the community that just is super in love with it because of that.
Yeah.
Like,
I think from a community perspective, you're right. I think though mechanically, Warframe is EVE Online is a huge time sink in that.
Yeah, Warframe is more approachable,
and Warframe is more fun, frankly. Like EVE Online, like you spend thousands of hours in that game of real time training up, and the like timer goes when you're offline. You spend thousands of hours to be able to fly the big huge ships that are really, really cool. Like there's like a finite cap on what you can do in a month in EVE that is frustrating, I think. Whereas with Warframe, I mean, you just play the game and it's fun. That's the thing. Playing EVE is not fun. Like undocking from a station, going and shooting something isn't fun. What's fun is sort of what you're saying, Erica, like the stories that come out of that stuff is very fun. And the sort of chat room aspect of it is entertaining. Warframe though, like my buddy and I played for like 3 hours last night. We barely talked at all because we were playing the game. We were busy playing the game. It was very much like, is it cool if we run this? And they said yes. And then I clicked launch mission and then we did the mission. So I think you're right from a, like, it is that company's big game, big one game, and they do a great job supporting it and fostering the community. But in terms of like gameplay and depth, it's pretty different from.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I say there's similar claws, not the same claws.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I don't know. I recommend it to people. I really think that anybody who has an interest at all in like shooters, frankly, like if you played Vanquish and you think Vanquish is cool, you should be playing Warframe. If you like think Destiny is cool, but you know, you don't like that there's a limit to like the kind of the content that you can do, you should play Warframe. Like if you think the idea of Destiny sounds great, but you don't want to play a game where you have to grind out levels to play new content, you should play Warframe, because there is no end game in Warframe. It's not really about, I mean, you level stuff up, but it's not really about leveling up a single number that is exemplary of your power. So it's just, there's just tons and tons and tons there. I am now doing a quest where I'm incubating a pet. So I'm going to have this like Kubro pet that follows me around and has stats and has its own set of stuff you can equip. And
then
like,
it can get famous.
Like the hoverboard thing I mentioned earlier. The hoverboard is a whole system. There's a whole set of like different board parts that you can put together to build a different hoverboard and give it different stats and stuff like that. Like, and it is all gated by grinding materials and stuff, but it doesn't really feel that grindy, because to me anyway, with where I'm at in it, because like, it's not that hard to get the materials. And like one thing Andre talked about in the past that he didn't like was he felt like he grinded for these materials and then he like had to craft the thing and it took like a week to craft a Warframe or whatever. And that stuff is still in there, but I put like 4 guns on the crafting table last night and went to bed, and they're all done now. So it's not like the crafting prohibits you from having a good time, because now there's so much stuff to do in the game that while you wait for your stuff to craft, you can easily spend time doing one of a billion other things. So it's really cool. People should check it out if they haven't. It's free and it's on like every platform. So it's on Switch, it's on PS4 and Xbox, it's on PC. It's basically just not on phones, but everything else. So play Warframe.
.com.
And then the last thing I'll briefly touch on before we can call it is I have been playing through the Devil May Cry HD collection on Xbox.
Some hard, stylish action there.
Yeah, Devil May Cry is really good. I played the first game again. I had played it back when it was newer, and playing it again now, it holds up pretty well. It's clunky in places, but the thing about that game that is so good is the difficulty is just tuned like impeccably. It's really, really good from a difficulty perspective. And the first game, I should say, I today finished the Dante playthrough. There's 2 campaigns in Devil May Cry 2. You play one as Dante and one as Lucia. I played through the Dante campaign in Devil May Cry 2. I never played it before. I don't understand why people don't like that game. Like from a difficulty perspective, it definitely is softer than Devil May Cry. Like I don't think I ever died playing DMC2. I died and then it used the resurrection orb to come back a couple of times, but I never like had to reload. Whereas with Devil May Cry, the first one, it's harder. So DMC2 is definitely like easier than Devil May Cry, but it's so stupid in like a good way. Like the first one it has its dumb stuff. Like there's like motorcycle stuff that happens early on that's pretty stupid. But the second one is like, you fight like a building at one point.
Yep, I remember that one.
Whoa.
There is a boss that is a building. It's like a face and hands comes out of the building. Yep. And then you have to fight the building. And it's amazing. The mechanics of the fight are not that good. That's the thing, is like the boss fights in DMC2 they're not as, you don't have to learn them like you did in the first game. But
I bet it looks real cool.
It's dumb and it's really, really fun. And like the controls are a little snappier in the second one than they were in the first game, and they reworked the combo system in a smart way. So like you get your showtime, like you get your combo points as you do the combo. In the first game, you don't get to see how you did until the end screen for the mission. But in DMC2, you can see the combo as it goes. But it's a really fun game. I'm playing the Lucia playthrough now, and I'm a little less into going back through the same environments again, which is her playthrough is from a different perspective, but it's mostly the same levels, just like right before or right after Dante gets there. But it's still fun to play mechanics wise, and she plays very differently from Dante, which is pretty cool. And it just really has me psyched to play 3, because I've never played 3 before. And that's the one that people seem to love the most. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to play DMC3. I'm really excited to play DMC5 before the end of the year. I'm not really like, I'm going to start Kingdom Hearts this weekend. So I'm not really like planning on, I'm sorry, dog on cat violence in the background. I'm not really going to probably play through 3 and 4 and 5 like right now, but yeah, they're fun games. Have either of you played like have you played DMC before?
Yes.
I haven't played any of them. Never touched a single one of them.
I played 4 when it came out, which made me go back and play 2 and 3. And I played the Team Ninja one from a few years back.
Like, I've never been interested in it at all until this conversation.
I don't know. I don't want to say like it'd be perfect for you, but I think you should try it. I don't know. So yeah,
if you like the weird shit like Bayonetta,
yeah,
or
I
like,
do.
Or if you like Bayonetta, you should totally play it.
If you liked Revengeance, like it took direct inspiration from these games.
What's interesting? Sorry, it's a lot of background noise.
It's fine.
What's interesting to me is I don't like those PS2 God of War games, which are similar in terms of gameplay and format in some ways. They're both action games where you do combos and get upgrades and stuff. I think the tone of Devil May Cry is what really does it for me, because it is like this weird, they talked a little bit about it on the Bombcast this week with DMC5. It's floating between this weird space of being like self-aware, but also extremely earnest. Mm-hmm. So it's like super, super, super anime, and it knows it, but it's like it knows it and it's not ashamed. Like some stuff is self-aware and it's in a like, we know this is stupid too, but it feels like the Devil May Cry games are like self-aware, but they don't think that they're stupid. They acknowledge that you think they're stupid, but they don't think they're stupid at all. Yeah. Like it's things like, and these are like minor giveaways, but they're old and there's a ton of these. Like
it's fine.
The thing that I had mentioned earlier, you fight the second game story is bad. Like in terms of plot, it's not good. The characters I kind of like, but the plot's not good. And it's really just like this CEO guy is trying to summon demons through this portal so that he can harness their power and become king of the world. So the second to last mission, you fight him and he's a super pushover. He's a really easy boss. The second time you fight him, you end up beating him and he screams, I was going to be king of the world. And he has this like, I was going to be king of the world, like shitty anime villain voice. And Dante
dying over here.
Dante looks at him.
My ringtone, like
Dante looks at him and says, "King, here's your crown," and then points a gun at his face, and pulls a trigger, and the guy like flies out the window and dies.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's real
and
dumb.
Then, like at the end, when you fight the big bad demon boss, and again, these are spoilers, but like the point is, you should play the games because they're fun to play. But like when you fight the big bad demon boss at the end, that the idiot that flies out the window had tried to summon, he like they do some like anime fighting and stuff after you deplete his life bar, and then Dante like disappears, and the guy the like demon like looks around, and it's like a human sized demon, and then Dante like reappears standing just to the side of him, pointing a gun at his head. And then like the camera like pans up to Dante's face and then he smirks and then pulls a trigger and then the demon dies. It's like, and then he gets on a motorcycle and he says, "Ha, let's go all the way to hell then." And then rides off and then the game's over.
Yeah.
It's really how long are these? Should I start from one?
So I think you should play them all because they're fun to play. Like the HD collection, the first one is about 6 to 7 hours long.
I can do 6 hours.
Yeah. And then I finished DMC2's Dante campaign at about 4 hours. And it's my understanding that the Lucia campaign is a little bit shorter. So they're definitely like, they get in and get out. The point is that, like, from what I understand, 3 and 4 are kind of more in the like 12-ish hour range.
Yeah.
Still, that's not bad.
But they definitely are designed around the idea that if you're really into them, you will go back and play them again on higher difficulties and learn the combo mechanics. And if we weren't in a world where there's 5, technically 6 of these games to play, I probably would do that because I think the combat is fun enough to do that for sure. As it stands, I'm probably just going to try to get through them. And if you kicked it down to easy, it would be like 2 hours of my time in DMC1 was relearning boss mechanics and having to because there are some tough fights in DMC1.
Mm-hmm.
But DMC2 is it's a little easier on normal. If you were to play DMC2 on easy, you could blow through it in a few hours for sure. And the HD collection is a pretty decent package. Like they didn't do that much to the games, but they do, they run at 60 frames a second on Xbox at least. And, at 1080p or 4K or not 4K, but 1080p. So the HD collection is a pretty good collection, and you can get it for like $20 physically now. It's I think 30 on the stores, but I went to a local store and got it for 20. So
nice.
Yeah. Okay. And 4 is on Game Pass for anyone that has Game Pass currently. Anyway.
Right on.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So is there any cool gaming news this week? I don't even know.
I think there has
to be something, sure. Right?
Everything's bleeding together.
Yeah. The days are.
I can't remember what is this week and what is last week. I don't really want to. There's a lot of bummer news that has happened around games and obviously the world, but also among games. And
I got one. Master Chief Collection.
Oh yeah, it's coming to PC.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about that for a long time. I think we even talked about it on this podcast at some point. But I think the fact that it's coming to Steam is real crazy.
Yes, that's pretty wild.
Like, I would not have guessed that ever. Dwarf Fortress came to Steam also, and it has a look for once.
Sadly, it's not available yet on Steam.
Oh, is it?
I
thought it had launched. Sorry.
The current release date is time is subjective. So I am very excited to play Dwarf Fortress when it releases in the new update. Because I really like ASCII Dwarf Fortress, but I could only go so far with it before I couldn't handle I think the visuals are very cool. I'm not knocking it for people that really like that, but at a certain point it was just too much for me to parse. So I'm excited to have it have graphics.
Right. Lady Gaga is going to be a part of Cyberpunk 2077.
That's cool.
She's cool. Awesome. I'm into it.
Yeah.
There's a huge No Man's Sky update coming apparently.
Yeah, was it called Beyond or something?
Yeah, so I guess I get to I literally uninstalled that game 2 weeks ago because I hadn't been playing it, and now I'm going to have to install it again because I always like to check in on their major updates. Trying to think if there was Apex Legends Battle Pass did not come out this week.
Yep, I was going to say.
That sucks, but there are jump pads appearing in the game now.
Microsoft, the thing with the PC games, you can stream your PC games to an Xbox One, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's like a Steam Link, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's about it.
There's apparently a new vault door has appeared in Fallout 76, but it doesn't have the vault number on it, and it says missing texture on the vault door.
Oh, great.
Oh no, it's like a pink box. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So all 3 players will be able to look at that and be like, oh, cool, it's broken again.
At least equipping items in Fallout 76 makes you better.
Fair. Stardew Valley came out on Android. Sam seemed pretty into it, but he's not here, so I won't speak for him.
Yeah, and the Division 2 is out, obviously.
Oh, right.
I was very down on that beta. I did not enjoy it much at all, but I'm willing to accept that maybe I judged too quickly. I'm hearing decent things from people who are playing it.
It seems like a wet Shlooter. Like you just had a wet Shlooter right in your pants.
It seems like a limp Shlooter. At least a wet Shlooter would be interesting. Anthem's like a wet Shlooter. It's not good, but it you kind of want to tune in to see the train wreck.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Erica has removed her headphones.
Oh my god, you guys.
I don't know. I have no interest in that game.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked the first one, but I don't care about loot where it's I equipped a better armor because the armor number's higher. I just don't care about that. That's part of why Warframe has been so refreshing because it's super, super not that. Yeah. So I don't know. If it's the thing is I really did enjoy the Dark Zone in the first game. I thought that was a cool concept. So if I hear that is a meaningful thing to do a lot, and then again, I've said it before, but I like the setting. So I don't know.
I've definitely talked about that, but
yeah. There's a part of me that really wants to play and like that game, but it's not. There's so many other things in the way. I got to play Kingdom Hearts. I want to play Hypnospace Outlaw. I want to play. There's a great game called Objects in Space that is super, super, super up my alley that I have not yet looked at. That I really want to make sure I play before the end of the year. But
not to mention the fact that game is 96 gigs.
Yeah, no kidding. That's brutal. And it doesn't. It's 96 gigs, and if you had the beta, it doesn't matter. It doesn't pull any assets from the beta files.
God,
and I understand that that's complex, and it's not it's they're pushing a build, so they can't necessarily pull stuff from one build into another very easily. But other games have done it before, and if your game is 96 gigabytes, maybe figure that out.
Okay, if it's a beta for an indie game with a team of 4, sure. It's a new build that you push out of Unity. It's Ubisoft, though.
Yeah, seriously.
I would think they have the resources.
The assets are the same.
Yep.
The beta was 56 or more. It might have even been more like 80 gigabytes. Like it was the whole game basically.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
So I don't know why they couldn't pull from that. And
yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah.
I remember being upset when games were getting to be 20 and 30 gigs. Back in my day.
Yeah, and that was just because of hard drive space, right? Like that wasn't even necessarily data cap related.
Yeah, it was, you would leave it downloading overnight and hope that it didn't crash overnight.
Yep. No, it's brutal. I don't know. I can't. I have a hard time with that game size. But anyway, not to be too much of a downer on it, because I think Sam is going to probably bring that next week to talk about, and I think he is probably more likely to enjoy it because he seemed to indicate that he liked the beta and stuff. So we'll hear more about it from him.
Yeah, one could say we are divided on the Division.
I just wonder how divided we're going to be on the Division in about 9 months.
Modulo 4.
Yeah, maybe if I can
that's the reaction I was hoping for.
I can parlay support against Sam if I use Shlooter to like blackmail people.
Did you appreciate that one, Erica? I'm glad.
I did.
Because haha, programmer jokes. Anyways.
Anyway, I think it's about time that we all went and started playing Kingdom Hearts.
Yep. That's what Andre and everyone would tell you, and Chris especially, but everyone.
Yeah. So anyway, Alex, where can people find you on the internet?
Fix.space and on pornhub.com/user/coolslaw, COOLSL4W. All of the Gaming Fix videos are up there.
And also a place that gets more views than YouTube, if I seem to recall.
Yes.
Oh my God,
from the last time you shared Pornhub stats.
It does, and we're getting some mixed reception there.
Yeah, big surprise. Erica, how about you?
My mom is watching. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, mine is too, actually.
Sorry, Mom.
It's not your boss.
That's true.
Could be worse.
That's true. My boss does know we do this though. But
it's not Andre's boss.
Right, well, you can find me on the internet. You can find my GeoCities page. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Erica, AIREHCUH, but I'm gonna go pretend to be on some fake internet for a few more hours.
Can we make a GeoCities page for our podcast?
Please do it. Definitely.
Ooh.
I'm Googling if there's a way. It's defunct, but if there is there, I'll look into this.
My mom said hi in the chat.
Hello, Mom.
Hello. And you can find me at JesterPC on Twitter. I link out to other stuff that I'm doing there. We did have more episodes of the Sunless Skies playthrough go up on YouTube this week. And there will be more coming next week. And I still want to play something else for the channel, but I'm still deciding what that's going to be. So I will have more for YouTube this week as well. You can find everything we do on fix.space. We have a Twitter also and the YouTube channel that you should go and follow and subscribe to. If there's nothing else, then I think we're going to call that a podcast.
Yeah.
We have to find more words that disgust Erica.
Oh God!
We can work on it. Yeah. Someone needs to come up with a thick and meaty dragon Shlooter.
No.
Wow. It's a Monster Hunter.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.